What's good, YouTube? Runicks YGO here. The WCQ for 2025 has finally concluded, and I am proud to share we did really well. We got a DP of 16,527, and we topped the global ranking for top 5,762, and a regional ranking for North America for top 337. So we're probably going to get the bronze icon, but I'm very proud. Shout out to everyone who played. I hope you guys had a fun time, and shout out to the people who won. I can't wait to watch you guys play. Back to our video, we did it with none other than Yubel Fiendsmith. Absolutely love this deck. I learned so much from this WCQ in terms of ratio picking for hand traps and starters, and the value of what it means to use a probability calculator and whatnot. But let's just jump straight into a deck profile just to share. So this is the deck profile for Yubel Fiendsmith, and before I start, I just wanted to share how I personally think Yubel Fiendsmith is such a good Goldilocks position in the meta right now. I just feel like it gets overshadowed against Snake Eyes just because it's the easier combo deck. However, I argue that Yubel Fiendsmith is a more consistent deck. Now, I'll explain that later, but just jumping into the deck profile, I want to explain as to why we play 40 cards. The reason we play 40 cards is because essentially there is 14 starters in Yubel Fiendsmith, and playing typically a standard way, a rule of thumb that most people play Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of starters, you need at least 12 starters to be quote-unquote consistent. That's typically in a 40 card deck. Drawing 5 cards with a 12 starters is an 85% chance of drawing an opener, something to start and pop off on your plays. With Yubel Fiendsmith, arguably all these cards are your starters that can have an end board one way or another. With 14 cards, that's typically around a 90% opener, or probability of opening a starter, which is actually insane. 10% of the time you will be not opening a starter at that point. Now, going into the deck profile, we're playing one Lurie, one Chaos Summoning Beast. These two are just engine requirements to pop off with your starters. We're playing 3 Samsara D Lotuses. This is your go-to starter. Typically, you want to try to summon this when you bait out your opponent as much as you can in terms of using maybe Dark Beckoning Beast, opening of the Spirit Gates, Yubel things, Fiendsmith Engine, because this is also your choke point. Getting this negated is could be very costly, but as you want to try to summon this and use its effect as safe as you can after trying to bait out your opponent. That's typically the mindset I try to use with it. We're playing the one Gruesome Grave Squirmer. This is an extender. Typically, you don't want to see this in your opening hand, but once you open up the Yubel combo, this card just pops off and you just search it. So this is more of an engine requirement. Arguably a brick, however, it can come up to destroy and miss target with Yubel sometimes, but definitely a extender. We're playing the 2 Maxi. That's the most popular card of all time. 2 Dark Beckoning Beasts. This is another starter. This is just as important as your Lotus, but it's more of a bait, because sometimes, let's say you get Ash Blossom with this and you had Lotus in your hand, you could still double summon essentially. So it's a free double summon to have extra bodies to go into Fiendsmith typically after you use its effect. You really sometimes want this in the graveyard, because when you use Dark Beckoning Beast, there is combos that you will see in my replays where you can send Dark Beckoning Beast, or once you use Dark Beckoning Beast, Lotus is in the grave and you can summon Lotus if it got interrupted. 2 Ghost Ogres. This is a flex spot. You can always change this based off your own needs in the meta. I switched this off back and forth with Bestials, so the Magna Hut and Drewsworm, sometimes when I fought too many Fiendsmith control, but this is perfect against Blue Eyes. So as you can this is definitely a flex spot. You can always change hand traps as you want. Most of the things you can change in this deck are just only hand traps. Engine is pretty much non-negotiable at this point, from my observation. 3, Ash Blossoms, the second most popular card of all time. This is just too good, whether you're going first or second against your Maxis, that if you try to get Maxi, or if your opponent tries to search, this is a great card to negate. 1 Lacrima, all you really need is 1. This is essentially an extenders and possibly a starter if this is the only thing that you pop up in your hand. But as you want to try to special summon this with Requiem just to dump. 2 Molcharme Fuvalos. I would love to play 3, but I think 2 is enough. At this time in the meta, I feel like most decks, for example, Blue Eyes, can easily just play through Molcharmes and just summon still through from the graveyard. 1 Unchained Soul of Shervara. This card is a second MVP of the deck. I personally really love Shervara. Sometimes in your opening hand, it's not a brick. You can definitely dodge effects sometimes when you're trying to resolve something. For example, if you're trying to use Fiendsmith engines such as Sequence and they try to imperm, you can always pop it and the effect still goes off because they lose its target. So Shervara can definitely pop up sometimes when it's in your hand. So it's kind of useful sometimes. Playing the 2 Engravers. 1 Yubel. 2 Spirit of Yubels. You need to play it in this ratio. 1 OG Yubel, 2 Spirit of Yubels, and 1 Terra Incarnate. Because they typically can be free bodies as they're getting destroyed. That's why. And mind you, with Spirit of Yubel, which is the best card in the game in terms of engine, this is your start. This is a extender. This is a searcher, and your win condition. Nightmare Pain, and mind you, it is not once per turn. Every time this card gets destroyed, you can special summon Yubel from either the deck or graveyard. In addition, it's also a free summon if you get attacked. You could special summon if it's in your hand. So, very flexible card. We're playing the 1 Nib. I really like Nib in this format right now. Nib, with the maxi draws, it's pretty important to draw Nib as a remover. Playing the 1 for 1. 1 for 1 can be switched off. Some people like Piri's map, which is using half your life points to get a searcher or your starter. But I really do like 1 for 1 because sometimes it can work really well to just dumping things to the graveyard. For example, a Dark Beckoning Beast. And you could still make plays with it. And you could get creative with 1 for 1 based off your hand. So it's hand dependent. But obviously, sometimes it sucks. If it gets Ash, you just neg the 1 because of it. No, you neg 2 because of it. The 1 Fiendsmith Track, this is another starter. Can easily just go full combo just with Track alone. 2 Nightmare Thrones, you're essentially cheating when you get Nightmare Thrown out. It just gives you another extra body. It's a free starter because you could either search your best starter in the game, Lotus, with it, or you can either get Dark Beckoning Beast with it. So it really all depends. It's a very strong card. Typically you want to bait your opponent with that too if you already have Engine already. It's such a strong card that you can play through at least 3 hand traps of depending on what openers or starters that you have. 2 Opening of the Spirit Gates. This thing too is almost cheating. You can have already starter in your hand and you can bait your opponent with this. This card is so strong that you extend so many times with it. Having it once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you could literally discard a Nightmare Pain, an extra copy, and then bring it back. Or Opening of the Spirit Gates and take it back to your hand as just free of cost. So you don't neg 1. You actually net 0 or +1 because of it. So it's very strong, easy starter, easy bait with your opponents too. You have to play Opening of the Spirit Gates at 2. Nightmare Pain, this is your win condition because your opponent's so fixated on trying to get rid of your board, they also have to get rid of Nightmare Pain because they're forced to attack you and you reflect damage with it. And it's a very strong card. We love this card. I personally like to play 2 instead of 1 because you'll see in many of my WCQ journeys that it did get removed and I had no way to bring it back via the opening of the Spirit Gates, which is the easy way to bring it back if you own a level 10. But with Nightmare Pain, you have to protect it at all costs, or sometimes you have to get the second copy because yeah, they will destroy it sometimes. 2 Call by the Graves, in my opinion, third best hand trap in the game. You have to just be playing it just because of hand trap meta. 1 Crossout Designator. This card is also very strong. I personally like it. Whether you're going first or second, it can be so clutch to use Crossout Designator on your opponent's turn as well, and it's strong on your turn, of course. At 2 Imperms, I would love to play 3, but I had issues trying to stay at 40. I truly did want to stay at 40 because of that. I would play 3 if I could. And lastly, Chamber. Chamber is a brick. Essentially, you never want to see this in your opening hand, but it definitely is a engine requirement if you want to go for the grind game. So it's very strong. Easily link your opponent's special summon monster on their turn. So you definitely need this to have layers of interruption rather than have everything on board and possibly get something like Dark Ruler no more. That is the main deck. Mind you, again, we always switched off with hand traps, so you play hand traps as you will. Engine is pretty much non-negotiable. Now for the extra deck, we are playing 1 Lacrima. I think it's very useful. You have to be playing this extender because you can easily pivot plays to either go into Apollosa or you could go to Desiree. But you definitely need this to even go into Aerial Eater. So I personally love this over Necro Quip. We use Aerial Eater. This is the strongest card pivot in the deck that bridges Fiendsmith and Yubel, thus making this deck possible because Beatrice is now gone. Aerial Eater is such a wonderful card. It works. You don't even need Beatrice ever since it got banned. This deck has only gotten stronger, while decks like Snake Eyes had to result to going into Millennium rather than Beatrice now. We're playing 2 Phantom of Yubels, the MVP of the deck. You can literally play this on turn 1, turn priority within your turn if your opponent doesn't Maxi or Fuvelos you on draw phase. This card is so strong sometimes. Playing this is deceptively strong, thinking that you might have bricks with Yubel, but it's really not bricks. They're basically insulators, especially since you have many starters. The chance of starting a starter and just playing Phantom of Yubel is very light. Playing the 1 Desiree, it is not necessary to play Desiree. Some people don't play it because it's too much requirements to summon it. I personally like it because there are times where I prefer having the luxury and flexibility that depending on what I am dueling against, Desiree is a lot better to go into rather than going into something like Caesar. Now, speaking of Caesar, we also have Caesar. Some people play Caesar, some people don't. These 2 cards are very replaceable. So please play it as you will. But all times, not a single time that they all came up at their own time and shined in their own way. So that's why I love playing it, and having the luxury of being able to play both is just truly blissful with this deck. Varudris, this is not all the time can you go into this. This is your Omni Negate. It has layers of interaction too, 3 layers to be specific. Yeah, it's super strong. This is an MVP typically that if you don't go uninterrupted, you can almost half the time go into it. It's hand dependent, but Varudris is very, very great. Requiem, this is an extender. Need that for Fiendsmith. Unchained Soul of Rage, a strong MVP. This is basically 3 interruptions with this card. It's actually so broken. It's better than IP Masquerena. You link your own opponent's monster, so you basically interrupt your opponent, and then you'll get Little Knight from this and banish, and then you have Little Knight's other effect to banish itself or banish something in your opponent's field and your our field. So that's 3 interruptions right there with basically putting layers to our interruptions. Muckracker. This is essentially the MVP of the deck. I can't tell you how many times how clutch it was, even though you do get Fiend locked with this using its effect by targeting one Fiend in the grave and then discarding one card if you do special summon it, and you're Fiend locked for the rest of the turn. But it saved me so many times to have a board still rather than nothing, and because of that, Muckracker really saved me after getting like hand trapped 3 times or so within this WCQ. Muckracker managed to get me back, and what's great about this could be essentially an end board. This is strong against possibly something like Tenpai, because Tenpai has so many board breakers that Muckracker can essentially keep you alive, basically. So Muckracker was basically an MVP. You have to be playing this in a Yubel Fiendsmith deck. If you're not, you're missing out on your basically lifeline sometimes. It doesn't always come up, but when it does, Muckracker never disappoints. Unchained Solo Lord of Yama. This is an extender for both Unchained and going into Soul of Rage. To once it gets destroyed as well, that's when it can extend, and you could summon things like Desiree or any Fiend essentially once something gets destroyed on your field. One Little Knight. Definitely have to play this with Soul of Rage. Moon of Closed Heavens, extender with Fiendsmith. Sequence, this is your last extender to go into a boss monster with Fiend Sequence. You're typically 90% of times are going to go into, unless you already have the starter in your hand, Lotus, you're going to go into Aerial Eater so you can dump the Lotus and extend with that combo and still have Synchro fodder or Link fodder with Sequence. Lastly, Appaloosa. This is another card that not all Yubel players use because of how easily outable it can get sometimes. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But Appaloosa against something like Memento I have a great success rate with just using Appaloosa. But sometimes playing against cards like Tenpai, Appaloosa is not the best because it can easily get hit from things like Sky Strikers, things like Imperm. It's an easy out, that's why. Sometimes you play it, sometimes you don't, but I personally like to play it because once it's summoned, I usually win the game. Unless they just have the out, you're just destined to lose at that point. So this is the Yubel Fiendsmith deck. I hope you guys enjoyed that deck profile. Again, the only flex spots, in my opinion, for example, the extra deck, just to remind everyone, Desiree, High King Caesar, and Appaloosa are all optional. You could play things like Almirage, Necroquip Princess, or more. It really depends on your playstyle and what you're trying to go for. Just mind you, whatever your playstyle or what you're thinking, just ask how often do you go into it because of that. In addition, the other flex spots are going to be something like Ghost Ogre. Whether you like it or not, you can always switch it with something like the Bestials. They're a lot easier to summon depending on the format. But yeah, this is the deck. It was super successful. It was I hardly bricked. I honestly probably only bricked 5 times within stream and the entire tournament, and I'm proud to be a Yubel Fiendsmith player. I learned so much from this deck, from learning proper ratios of cards, understanding the value of starters, understanding the value of how many hand traps you should have to be playing in terms of what's considered a meta deck. Yeah, I learned so much, and learned how to combo and how to just think, because this deck is more combo heavy than something like Snake Eyes, but it is definitely way more rewarding, and it feels great knowing how to break a board based off your win cons. I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to start off by sharing, this is going to be a 2-part video that I will be sharing my journey to go into max rank to qualify for the WCQ, and then part 2 is going to show the second half of how the successful games that I had in the qualifiers. So first one is just going to be the ladder tier. Thank you guys so much. If you guys have any questions, you guys can always ask in the comments or the Discord. But we love Yubel Fiendsmith. This is probably my best deck as till this day, as of now. Anyways, take care. Thank you guys. Let's go to replays. So this is my promos game to max rank. We are fighting against White Forest. And I did this on stream. This was super hype. I was sweating. I was shaking. I was really happy with this hand. We have a really strong hand. Basically, this is a very ideal hand. We have a bunch of basically interruptions or to counter hand traps and go full combo here. So we go first here, and breaking that each play, we have turn priority. No, so that gives me the idea that they most likely don't have any max C, just because it would have went red. I learned a lot about playing this game by seeing how it lit up their screen for responses, because it basically process of eliminated what hand trap does my opponent have. We start off with Yubel Fiendsmith. Now we have a monster negate, we have an Ash negate for any Mulch Army or Max C, and we have Call by the Grave. Our only true out is probably Imperm, but thankfully we had insulation for all of that. I did not want to Call by the Grave here because I want my Ash to be online just in case. So we negate Ash, destroy Spirit to get Dark Beckoning Beast. Dark Beckoning Beast, and then normal Dark Beckoning Beast for Chaos Summoning Beast, and we summon OG Yubel, linking the two, opening us up for the Fiendsmith combo. Going into Requiem. Requiem sends to the grave for Lacrima. Lacrima sends Engraver. Engraver specials itself by sending Moon back. I was so hyped in this game. We go into Sequence here. Sequence to go into Aerial Eater. This will open up our gates to go into Yubel. So Aerial Eater dumping Samsara de Lotus, linking the two for Lord of Yama, also opening up our Shervara chain or combo, banishing the two. So the reason we banish Yubel is because we have a second copy and we had to do that for an extra body. I wanted to keep Yubel on the field only because we can get an extra body with Unchained. So this is very different than the typical uninterrupted combos I usually do. Destroy Yubel, special summon Shervara. Yubel summons Terror Incarnate, linking the two for Soul of Rage. Shervara setting up Chamber. Discarding Called by the Grave. I really wanted to keep it, but Ash was more important to me. Samsara de Lotus, sending for second Spirit of Yubel. Yubel sets Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain to destroy to get Squirmer. Spirit to get back OG. Linking the two for Apollosa. Now the reason we go for this tiny Apollosa is because we're gonna value something very different. This is why I love playing still Apollosa. We Gruesome to get rid of Yubel. Yubel uses the effect. Then Yama to actually... So we had two options here. We could have either gotten Yubel, Spirit of Yubel, and just linked higher. But instead, I chose Yama to get me Shervara. Because we have Chamber already set, we're going a different line and going to High King Caesar. High King Caesar was a lot more valuable to me at this point because I didn't need a high Apollosa because I was scared it would get outed. So we played very differently here and ended on Muckracker. In this end phase, we have 3 monster negates, 1 Muckracker protection for our monsters, 2 special summon negate, Ash Blossom, Soul of Rage to link a special summon monster plus 2 banishes. That is 10 interruptions our opponent has to go through with 4 cards in their hand, 5 on the draw phase. They go, they normal summon Lacrima, so we just negate that. Trying to use our layers of interruption here. They link into Requiem, trying to bait us more. And we also just used up all our Apollosa just to get it out the way. So that is done. They send Estella. That's how I knew it was a White Forest deck. And seeing this, I thought it was going to be Snake Eyes. But when I saw that, I Phantom of Yubel here. They call by the grave it. Pretty good call by the grave. So then they get a set card. I thought to myself, it's okay. We have Ash Blossom here. They negate it. I wasn't too worried because we still have Unchained. And knowing that it is Deception of Sinful Spoils made me really happy. They have a special summon monster. So, you know what? On their turn, when they activate it, we chain to get Soul of Rage. Soul of Rage specials. We have turn priority here for response. Holding the on button really helps. And when we do that, we link the two for SP Little Knight, banishing it before they use its effect. And we still have the Ash Blossom with the one card left in their hand. We absolutely broke their board or hand little by little. And at the end phase, we have follow-up, get back Requiem, and we Requiem to... They try to attempt to do that, and we're just gonna negate because we're going for lethal here. Knowing that's their only interruption, they had no more lights turn on red. So, we Requiem to get Lacrima, Lacrima to send Engraver, Engraver to send back Sequence for follow-up. Linking Apollosa and Lacrima for Sequence. Sequence to send all three for Desiree. Linking the two, completely sealing the fate. We had over 10,000 attack, letting each card attack. I was yelling. We made it to max because of this. All thanks to this deck. We absolutely fought for this. So this was my favorite game of the entire tournament. It was so satisfying. We gotta show more situational and combos that I didn't think I would learn because I would always do the normal things. Let's go. A duel going second. We are fighting Tearlament. Tearlament was a deck I actually fought quite a lot throughout this tournament, and surprising to see it. It was a toss-up, but I won most of my Tearlament matchups. Opponent goes first. We just have Maxi. We have to really pray for Maxi to go through because we can't interrupt that normal summon. So they Tearlament Scream, they normal summon Reinhardt, use the effect of Scream, sending cards, and they get Havinus. Havinus, when I saw that, I knew I had the Maxi because they were trying to summon, special summon, and thankfully Maxi does resolve, but they actually end up not summoning. So they set 2 and pass. This is our turn now. And starting off, I believe I bait with Engraver. Typically with this deck, you want to bait with Engraver to see if they'll try to, negate it. Because at that point, we have Samsara D Lotus. We want to just normal summon that. And if that gets negated, the only thing we have is Phantom. That's what's going on in my mind within this duel. This was a very firefight duel. The most grindiest duel I've had in the tournament that I felt very happy to come up on top. So, they select us, and we get tracked. I tracked to still just do Fiendsmith stuff, trying to bait them, showing that we're maybe a Fiendsmith control deck, possibly. They don't know we're playing Yubel. Now, at this point, this is where they interrupt us and try to send. So at this point, since they're trying to special summon, let's just Maxine again. They negate the effect of one monster. I think they were just using it just because. Send to the grave and use more effects. So they banish. We draw. Really good draw there. Tearlament Scream, and they are just using all their Tearlament effects. So very, very strong here. Sending more cards. Summoning. We draw a Nib. Pretty good. Chadal Beast, make them drop. They use that to summon Winda. I got stunned here. I was worried on how I should play this because we only could special summon once, slowing down the game, thinking what to do. We used Nightmare Throne here. The reason we use this is so we can double summon Samsara the Lotus here. Now, opponent, Super Polys. I thought, you know what, this is over. No way I'm going through this. But they actually do this, and they Mud Dragon. So we draw again, and this is the misplay of the game, but it was okay. We Nightmare Pain here, and we double summon. Now this was the mistake. Why did I use Samsara the Lotus? What I should have done was just send Chaos Summoning Beast plus Yubel to go into Phantom of Yubel and just swung into Yubel or Winda here. Because at this point, I just summoned Spirit, in my opinion, for nothing. Yeah, we get the second Pain, but that's about it. Now we just have Squirmer, and I can't special summon anymore. So I just swing, and that's about it. That's the only turn we could do because Winda is a big problem right now. So, opponent does Tearlament things here. Sending back Nightmare Pain back to the deck. So, maybe Nightmare Pain here was a blessing to just do this instead. But seeing how the game goes, they summon their one monster, their boss monster, Kaleido. So they try to spin it back, I believe, negating its effect too. Special, losing its target for Kaleido, effective Throne, and unfortunately this happens. So yeah, Medora just kind of stunned us a bit, but we still get Terra Incarnate, but we cannot special because we only can special once. So the game is this is getting pretty late into the game. Typically most Yubel decks you win at turn 3 and that's about it. But we used Open of Spirit Gates, and this was possibly a mistake because I already special summoned. But I double summoned by normal tribute summoning Yubel. So they do this. This is another mistake. I did not know this about Fairy Tail Snow. But check this out, guys. Try to call by the Grave it to stop it from negating or summoning. Opponent used Sulik and chains another Fairy Tail Snow within the same chain. I did not know this is not once per turn. I know it doesn't say that, but I thought you can't do that. But point is, they just banished 14 cards into their hand. They made me miss my Called by the Grave, and they set me face down. This is not good at all. Not much we can do here. I was really worried because Winda is doing work for them. They attacked me for 2200, attacked me to flip it face up, and now it's my turn. We draw a pretty fine card, so we send the 2. Because of Winda, we do it this way. Normal summon Lacrima, and we just battle phase. Smash, smash. Now we're in game point here. We get Samsara the Lotus. Yubel has to tribute. And this is the best part, guys. This was a really hard game. They finally linked off Winda because it was actually hindering them. Use King Sarcophagus. Summoning more. Remember, Nib is here, guys. So, they're summoning like crazy. I try to negate that because I don't want them to have more bodies to try to special summon. Trying to just force out more plays from them to get the desperate. So we can get Terra Incarnate special, so it's kind of a mistake to summon it with Throne, but it's fine. They use Fairy Tail Snow to special summon for the 5th summon, Snow, dropping it, and then finally Nibiruing them. They lost everything. Now, mind you, remember what Nibiru does. Tribute face-up monsters as much as possible on the field. They snowed our Terra Incarnate. So they really just messed themselves up. And they scooped. That was super grindy game. Was very fruitful, and I learned a lot from this type of duel. So shout out to this duelist for making me go up to turn 7. Now, another Tearlament game. Opponent goes first. We have Mulcharmies, pretty good. 2 of them, so we can actually chain if something goes wrong. Opponent special summons using Tearlament, gets nothing. They tribute that to try to special summon from the deck. That's when we knew we had to do Mulcharmies Fuvalos. Opponent ashes that. We chain with the second Fuvalos, making that go through. Opponent draws, they use Uni Zombie and Necroworld Banshee. Now it's our turn. We open up the Spirit Gates. They use the effect to banish it and activate 1 Zombie World. Now this is tricky, guys. Now, I don't know if you guys know, with Zombie World, all cards on the field become zombies, all monsters. So what does that mean? That means Fiendsmith can no longer be summoned. I don't know if you guys had that dilemma, because it says here 1 light fiend monster. This is no longer a fiend on the field. So that turns off a lot of our plays. So we have to play very differently here. This shows you this example how we can weave our plays and still go full combo. That's why I truly love Yubel Fiendsmith, because of the power of how it can be flexible. Samsara D Lotus for Yubel. Yubel for Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain to pop Yubel for Squirmer. And then chaining to get 2 bodies on the field. So we will get OG Yubel and Terra Incarnate. Linking the 2 for Muckracker. Putting the 2 away for Phantom of Yubel. Linking the 2. The reason we do that is because we want to keep Muckracker to continue plays. We Little Knight. Banishing Zombie World. Opening us up with a full combo. That basically enabled our Fiendsmith. What's cool about opening of the Spirit Gates, it's a discard effect. Discarding Lurie means I special summon Lurie. In addition, I will get a Yubel on the field, thus having more bodies. Really innovative way to play around Zombie World. Another duel going second, and yeah, our coin flip throughout the tournament was very bad. We lost a lot of coin flips, and we are fighting Mementos here. Mementos was probably the 3rd most deck I've dueled. It was like Fiendsmith, Control, Blue Eyes, Memento, and Snake Eyes. Those were the top 4 decks I fought. And yeah, if it wasn't for Max C's going second, that's just basically the savior here. Try to special summon here. If they negated that, oh man, we are done. Dunzo. So they actually use Creation King, or Momentumiclin, to just dodge it and end up making me miss everything. And they still have some interruptions here. So it's our turn. We try to bait with Engraver here. That's my mind. I always bait with Engraver because Dark Beckoning Beast is more of your condition that you want to go and have that resolve. If not, Nightmare Throne's the most important, because Nightmare Throne can possibly open up having bodies and or Samsara D Lotus double summoning. So it's smart to always bait with Engraver, making them think maybe this is Fiendsmith Control. They don't know yet. So we'll open up with Lurie. And this is when they pop the 2, because I was going to try to get Engraver and just send it to the grave anyways. But opponent is trying to summon using the field spell. Having bodies. Grabbing things to their hand. So we finally just get Samsara D Lotus, showing what deck we're truly playing. normal summon Dark Beckoning Beast, get Opening of Spirit Gates. Opening of Spirit Gates gets interrupted by them fusion summoning into Guardian Chimera. They are trying to pop it and draw. Thankfully, there's Ash in our hand. We negate it, stopping most of their interruptions. Now we double summon Samsara D Lotus. Choke point, you need to negate that, but since it went through Spirit of Yubel, gets us Pain. Pain destroys Spirit for Squirmer, and it's just cheating when you have Throne on the field, because that's just the free body right there. So get Yubel, get Terra Incarnate to hand, just to special summon it, ignoring summoning conditions, getting Engraver, linking Engraver for Requiem, just call out more bodies for Lacrima, thinning out our deck, going into Sequence, going into Deseret. The reason we go into Deseret and not finish off our plays is because we want to insulate from the set card. We don't know what that set card is. In addition, just in case they have any other lingering effects on the field, trying to negate that. Link it 2 for Unchained Lord of Yama. Yama to get us solo Sharvara. Popping Yubel. Yubel to get us Terra Incarnate. Linking the 2 for Soul. Sequence to attach. Sending Chaos Summoning Beast for Yubel. Using Sharvara to pop Yubel. Spirit is not once per turn. Banishing Yama. We get Yubel plus destroying Sharvara. The reason we destroy Sharvara, we are fiend locked and we need every body in our field. So this is an example where you have to pop it, because at this point we can banish Squirmer to go rank 10 into Varudris, attacking, hitting for 3000, attacking again, destroying it with Varudris, linking the 2 for Muckracker for protection. We don't know what that set card is. Sending the 2 for Phantom of Yubel. Actually, we did misplay. Looking back at it now, we should have just summoned Phantom of Yubel and attacked twice and burned them for 6000 instead of 3000. But in here, we have 2 field negates, 1 destruction for our monsters protection, 1 Omni negate, 1 monster negate, and then we have Soul of Rage into SP Little Knight. 8 interruptions right there. Opponent goes, we summon Goblin destroying itself, sending the 2. We just Samsara D Lotus here. And we just Unchain. We sort of misplayed. We should have used Phantom, but we just destroy with Muckracker instead, because we misplayed. We should have used Varudris. This is why it is very important. Now I'm sharing this with you guys, misplays, because you need to understand too that there are certain orders you have to do interruptions. I had to have used Varudris because I have to discard Yubel or send Yubel to the graveyard in order to be summoned by using Phantom of Yubel's effect. But instead, we sort of messed it up and lost our protection because of that. We Unchained Soul of Rage here, and they Goblin Biker, so we missed timing there. But we negated Desiree to the 2 cards. So in the end, nothing happens. We still have 1 negate left. An opponent is summoning. So we misplayed here. They could have easily come back. They summoned their boss monster, but all they could do is attack. And just enough, they blew themselves up. Sort of a misplay there, but it's important to share my misplays as well, that you have to understand the ordering of what you need to interrupt with first. Second to last duel, we are playing against Spright. Another going second game that Maxi, we have a pretty good hand for going second, so we have at least 3 interruptions here and a board negate. Going against Spright, this is the best thing you can do, but of course they do have ways to negate it, which is using either Gigantic's effect, so then I can't special summon Nibiru, but Opponent goes the Spright starter, so we just max C right off the bat because we're trying to draw. Opponent Ash Blossoms it. Not good. So they summon blue. Now, some people say you should not let them use blue because you should wait until using Imperm for Gigantic. However, I had Nibiru, so the reason we use Imperm here is because we don't want them to get Carrot to try to negate our Nibiru unless they already had it in hand. So this was risky. This is gambling. So we negate it. Opponent summons Jet, so I thought it was going to guarantee them getting red and carrot on my turn. But instead, opponent goes sprint, and once I saw this, I knew they're going to summon too much and we're going to board wipe them. So they couldn't get Spright carrot to negate, or red, my mistake. So we Nibiru here, stop them from further going into anything else. Ending their turn. Having an amazing top deck. So this is strong. We obviously want Nightmare Pain to go off so we can't get that negated. So we try actually the other way around, my mistake, because we could go Fiendsmith if Nightmare Pain gets negated. So they do interrupt us, and see, because of this, Opium Spirit gets way more important to get going. We end up going Dark Beckoning Beast. Dark Beckoning Beast to get us Chaos Summoning Beast double summon. By that time, opponent scoops, knowing that we're just gonna... So, this duel, this was earlier into the WCQ. We were fighting Dark Magician, and I just wanted to share this just because, again, the deck is so good, resilient into playing against getting hand trapped and getting interrupted. So, opponent goes and tries to summon here. I thought they were going to use Magician's Rod to start their plays, but instead, I was a little scared, you know, fighting against Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. But that's it. They set one and just have an Omni negate and possibly a Imperm is my guess. So we could not use Imperm here, so sad. But we open up the Spirit Gates. They weirdly negate here very early in my opinion, but because they negated it, it's destroyed. They gain 4,000 attack. We normal summon Lacrima. This is our only play. And they Imperm the Lacrima, which is a big no-no. You don't do that. You know why? Because you could still pop off. It's just a dump. They should have waited instead to use it on sequence. So I wasn't too sure what they were doing here, but it works out for us in our favor. They go into Engraver to attach. I know we cannot target it, so I'm just doing that just because. We Unchain Sharvara, destroy, use the effect of Engraver to send back Lacrima, have 2 bodies on the field. Now it is a 4,000 beat stick, so we cannot beat it. Now you see, if they waited for sequence here, we probably would have been dead on the water here. But because of that, we go into Aerial Eater. Aerial Eater, sending Samsara de Lotus, linking the 2 for Muckracker. Now, this is why Muckracker is MVP in the deck. You have to be playing Muckracker in the deck. In stage 2, it comes up even more. It is your lifeline. Even though you are Fiendlock, it's such a strong card. It basically protects your board by tributing it Fiend monsters instead, and it Fiend locks you to special summon. However, in this case, it works out for the best. We send Yubel for Samsara de Lotus. Lotus sends, and we just went full combo. Spirit of Yubel for Pain, Pain to destroy for Gruesome, Effective Spirit. Then we get Roland Lockbird. That's fine, because So we're okay. And we just played through 3 hand traps there. So gruesome, destroying, getting Terra Incarnate, sending the 2, 4, Phantom, and that's it, all said and done. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. 4,000 attack, smash into him, finish off this duel. Very satisfying. Big shout out to Muckracker. So for this replay, we don't even know what we're fighting against because this is a turn 1 really fast game. I just wanted to show this hand is not really ideal, but we still have full combo if everything gets pulled off. The point of this example was to show how knowing what hand traps your opponent has on their hand based off how it lights up typically, you can outplay your opponent sometimes. Depending, unless they know how to use the on and off button properly, the auto on off, then it'll be more deceiving. However, going with this game, it didn't pass to their turn on draw phase, so it made me think they did not have a Maxi or Fuvelos. So going, I noticed when I played something during this time, you can't see it light up or pass for response in replays. However, every time I noticed when a monster was off the field, no lights went on. Like right here, no lights go on. But every time a monster hits the field, there is a light. So it gave me the impression it's either going to be an Imperm or a Veiler. And with that type of stuff, I knew maybe we could outplay them because of Shervara. It's a pretty good example. I used Engraver to send back to try to go into Engraver and then go into Sequence here to try to go into Yubel stuff. So this is choke point. If they negate this, we're pretty much dead on the water and we don't have much to go off with this type of hand. Essentially 3 bricks in our hand. They Imperm here, which is not ideal, but that's just to show how OP Shervara could be to dodge targets. So we predicted this on stream saying they have an Imperm or something. And we beautifully outplay our opponent, make Sequence go through, and they knew it was over. Quick example of how Shervara can make the biggest difference. So that was the first half of the WCQ, making it into the second stage. That's part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. If you have any questions about my breakdown or as to why these ratios, you can always leave your questions down in the comment section. I'm genuinely proud of this deck, showing that the deck is just in a Goldilocks position and that it's the strongest it's ever been for Yubel right now, and it's a sleeper of a deck. Is it the best deck? No. Is it competitive worthy? Heck yes. Yes, it is. It's very strong, play through hand traps, very consistent, and strong at what it does. So thank you guys so much for this journey. I am actually super tired from playing it. I'm just stressed because every game I pretended it was my last, and it really stressed me out. And playing that many games takes a toll. So yep, I hope you guys look forward to the second video for the second part 2 of this. Thank you guys so much. Amazing deck. Yubel Fiendsmith. Take care. Runicks YGO out.